Hello and welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. This Monday morning video is going to be two main topics. A wee post-match review of Celtic's hard-fought 1-0 win in the league opener Sunday afternoon against St Mirren, and at the end we'll also pop in a wee section on the Champions League final qualifier draw, where Celtic go in as a seeded team for the two-legged final playoff towards the end of August. There are 8 possible opponents, as 3 of the ties are either-ors, along with Sturm Graz and Basel, who are both through to that round as unseeded teams. The other 6 teams we might play have their first and second legs over the next fortnight before they play us at the end of the month, and I'll pop in the result of that draw right at the end of the video. So in today's video, we'll also have a wee look at the key incidents from yesterday's games, the stats, my own player ratings, and 1 or 2 wee thoughts as we go through regarding the team, players coming in, players going out, etc. So in the end, I'm happy enough. A 1-0 win, 3 points, top equal in the table, 2 points ahead already of our likely biggest rivals, who looked a bit disorganised and dispirited in their game against Motherwell. And Celtic appear to have got through the game without any new injuries, and several of the players who were maybe lacking a bit of match sharpness and match practice, like Tierney, Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, all got some important good game time. And on another day, although Celtic only won 1-0, on another day in a game where you have a goal disallowed, twice hit the bar, twice hit the post, several good saves by the goalkeeper, some very good blocks and defending by St Mirren. It could have been one of those days where Celtic could have scored 4 or 5 goals, just if a wee bit of rub of the green, a wee bit of 50-50s from referees had gone in Celtic's favour, particularly if Celtic had converted one of their earlier chances. Celtic actually, I thought, started very much on the front foot. St Mirren not very much at all of an attacking threat. I think Kasper Schmeichel made one pretty simple save in the first half, one pretty simple save in the second half. Otherwise, he had very little to do other than kicking the ball out or rolling the ball out to defenders and midfielders. Kieran Tierney in the first half, a couple of shots, weren't really threatening the goal, but he was showing good attacking intent, getting into the final third. And there were some good signs of a partnership developing with McGregor and Maeda. Adam Ida had 4 good chances in the first half, never quite hitting his shots properly, getting crowded out on a couple of occasions, and a couple of times when Celtic did get good balls into the box, he or Yang or Maeda just seemed to be 1 or 2 steps off the pace and not quite in the right position to finish those good passes and crosses. Probably Celtic's 2 best chances of the first half. 18th minute, Dyson Maeda nicely released in behind, rounded the goalkeeper. It was quite an acute angle, but I do think Maeda had the ability to knock the ball into the net. However, his shot kind of flew across the 6-yard box, and this was another in time that Yang was just maybe half a step behind where he needed to be. And I think in a week or so's time, he and all the other players will be that bit sharper and putting those sorts of chances away. Other great chance for Celtic, Nygren getting into the box. Pretty well hit shot, was deflected by the goalkeeper. It luckily hit the bar, bounced back to Nygren, and he couldn't get very much power on his follow-up header, and the goalkeeper made a fairly simple save to keep the score at 0-0 at half-time. Celtic came out again, much the dominant side in the second half. McGregor had a shot well saved around about the 50th minute. 'Maeda headed the ball over the bar from a knee green corner. And in the 57th minute, another episode of Celtic hitting the bar. This time Rio Hitati hit a shot, took a deflection off a St Mirren player, rebounded onto the bar, hit the goalkeeper off the bar, then bounced off the goalkeeper, hitting the post, and rather than going the other side of the post into the net, it went the other side of the post and out for a corner. So just a wee bit of luck. That first deflected shot would have gone in, or that second rebound off the post would have gone in off the goalkeeper to put Celtic deservedly 1-0 up. I think James Forrest made a big difference to the game when he came on around about the hour mark, and also I think Celtic did look nice and strong in defence when Kieran Tierney went off, looking a bit tired, though happily not injured. Liam Scales, interestingly, went to left back, and I think his performance at left back was better at left back than he had been at left centre back, and I thought Trusty came in, looked very assured, defending well, showing a lot more pace than Scales has to get back. I thought Scales and Trusty formed a nice partnership down that left-hand side, and I thought Celtic looked nice and solid throughout the whole game with the 5 defenders that we played at different points. Then a wee moment of controversy. Cal McGregor looked like he'd put Celtic 1-0 up. However, after a fairly lengthy VAR review, the goal was disallowed. And I think, to be fair, it does hit Cal McGregor on the elbow. Technically, that's a handball, and especially so as the laws do indicate that a goal should be disallowed if the handball is directly part of a goal scoring. And clearly, the ball hitting accidentally off McGregor's elbow as he's facing the opposite way did let the ball fall right into his path, and his well hit shot beat the goalkeeper. However, it was, I think, unfortunately correctly disallowed. Celtic kept up the pressure. Adam Ida, some nice control around the 6-yard box, probably should have knocked the ball across the goal. Rather, he seemed to try and beat the goalkeeper at his front post, and the ball battered off the post and rebounded out. Probably that was Ida's best chance of the game. Shortly after that, he was removed. The treble substitution in the 77th minute, I have to say I was rather surprised it was Kenny that came on rather than Shin Yamada, as I think Shin Yamada's extra pace would have got him into good positions in the box, got himself behind the St Mirren Tower defence, and also, unlike all the other attacking players in the squad, Shin Yamada's had 2 international games and half a J-League season, and so he is fully match sharp and fully fit. And I was a bit surprised that he came on to replace, didn't come on to replace Ida. Instead, Kenny came on. Kenny's had a few half games here and there, not looked terribly convincing, and I think Yamada would have been a much better substitution than Kenny for Ida at that point. Happily, one of the other substitutions, Luke McCowan, had a nice, bubbly, active game. He took a nice pass from Dyson Maida in the 87th minute, and a slightly deflected shot went past the goalkeeper to give Celtic a lead in the 87th minute, which we happily held on to win. And indeed, 3 minutes into added time, we probably should have doubled the lead. Brilliant ball by Alza Johnson. Dyson Maida showing tons of pace to get behind the St Mirren defence. Although surprisingly, a St Mirren defender came out of nowhere with great pace to catch up Maida and block the shot away for a corner. As I said, on another day, those couple of times hitting the post, couple of times hitting the bar, couple of good saves by the goalkeeper, and that Dyson Maida breakaway, or the Dyson Maida breakaway in the first half, and Celtic could easily have had a 4-5-6 nothing win on another day where the luck went with Celtic rather than pretty much everything going against Celtic, apart from that one deflection to help McCowan get the winner. Just looking at some of the stats for the game, shows that Celtic were by far the best team, by far the most dominant team. Possession was a remarkable 76-24, touches in the box, an equally remarkable 41 to Celtic, 11 to St Mirren. Corners 12-1 for Celtic. Their goalie made 5 saves. Kasper Schmeichel made a couple of pretty easy saves. Shots were 14-4 in favour of Celtic, with 6 on targets to 2 in favour of Celtic. Celtic had 7 off targets and 1 blocked, and St Mirren had 1 off target and 1 blocked. And we, of course, hit the woodwork 4 times to their 0. So I think lots of positive things. We created lots of chances. Had a bit of bad luck with refereeing decisions, bit of bad luck with balls hitting the post, and their goalkeeper having a good game to make a couple of really good smart saves. So on to the next game. I think Celtic will be that bit more match sharp. I think players like Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Kieran Tierney all will be much better for their game time against St Mirren. And it would be interesting to see whether Yamada gets an earlier goal in the next match, and also do wonder whether we might start with James Forrest rather than Yang out on the right-hand side. And I also would be quite interested to see maybe Callum Osmond on the bench rather than Kenny, because I do think Osmond has better striker instincts and better pace, and Osmond could also be used out wide on the right or left with that extra pace that he has. So we'll see how things pan out through the week and what team Rodgers goes with next weekend. And would be great to see what you feel yourself for your own match ratings. I gave Kasper Schmeichel 6.5. I thought he had a fine game, made a couple of good saves, and neither particularly difficult, and he was very good at restarting the game nice and quickly. Some very good kickouts directed straight to wide players and midfielders. Some nice rollouts as well. And when he was called in to make catches from corners and long throws, etc., he did well with that. So 6.5 for him. Given Alistair Johnson 7.5, I think he was Celtic's best defender consistently throughout the whole match. Broke forward nicely into midfield, broke forward nicely into the final third. Several very good crosses and passes into the box. On another day, 1 or 2 of those would have ended up as being assists for goals. Given Cameron Carter-Vickers 6.5, didn't have terribly much to do, did it fine. Some nice passing out of defence, showed good pace breaking back to hold off hold off St Mirren attackers. Didn't get bullied off the ball, so 6.5 for him. Gave Liam Scales in the end a 7. I thought, as a central defender, I was going to give him a 6 because a few times he did get beaten to the ball, bullied off the ball by the 2 strong, big centre forwards that St Mirren were using in the second half. However, when he swapped to left back, I thought he defended much better. Trusty was then able to cover in behind with his extra pace. Liam Scales actually a few times got into the opposition box and into the final third for a couple of nice passes and crosses. And I thought Scales looked very good at left back, so I gave him a 7 in the end. Gave Kieran Tierney 6.5. Thought he looked very good to start the game. Some nice crosses, some nice passes, couple of shots near goal that missed. However, he did tire a bit in the second half, and for that reason, gave him 6.5. Gave 6.5 to McGregor and 6 to both Negrin and Hatate. Bit disappointed with Negrin and Hatate, but then again, they are forming a new partnership, and I think at times Negrin should have been allowed to go a bit further forward, as he did create a couple of chances in his more advanced role, and of course had that shot that was deflected onto the bar right at the end of the first half. Cal McGregor controlled things nicely in midfield. Would have liked to see him just being a wee bit more dominating. However, 6.5 for him. He did score that disallowed goal and was nice and busy throughout the game. Gave 6 for both Maeda and Yang and for Ida. Wee bit disappointed with all 3. I think, again, they all just were lacking that wee bit of match sharpness. They weren't quite as quick and strong as they usually are. Daisy Maeda at times seemed a bit isolated out in the left wing. Didn't seem to be really cutting into the box as he usually does. and of course did miss that pretty good chance right at the end of the match where he seemed to be lacking a bit of energy, stamina, pace to continue to outpace the defender, and he was surprisingly caught up by the covering back St Mirren centre back. In terms of the subs, I gave man of the match and 7.5 to James Forrest, who looked bright and breezy, attacking, got the ball forward, hit the byline, cut inside, several nice crosses, did have a shot late in the game that ballooned over the bar, but did look a lot more positive and attacking than Yang had done. Given 5 for Kenny, very, very disappointed with him. He looked rather slow a couple of times. If he'd been on the front foot, he would have had a pretty easy tap in, but just seemed to be mentally and physically that wee bit slow. Gave 6 for Engels and 7 for McCowan. Engels got himself involved a few times, but unluckily had a foul given against him. When he actually took the ball, knocked the man. And that happened a few times where Celtic had fouls given against them where there was little or no contact with the actual player, and Celtic took the ball cleanly. McCowan gave a 7 to. He looked again nice and active, nice and positive, and of course scored the goal. And I give a 7 for Trusty as well. So I liked his defending. I liked the way that he organises himself and Carter Vickers and Scales on that left-hand side. And I think he looked a better option as a left centre back than Scales had done, which also freed up Scales to take over from Tierney at left back. And Scales definitely, for me, was better at left back than he had been at left centre back. So that just about rounds up the St Mirren match from yesterday. And now we're going to move on to the Champions League draw, which was 11 o'clock on Monday morning. The playoff round for the Champions League was drawn, as I say, at 11 o'clock this morning on Monday. Celtic have drawn either Slovan Bratislava or Kairat Almaty of Kazakhstan in the next round. Celtic will be playing at home on either the 19th or 20th of August in the first leg, which will be at home, and then the second leg, which will be away in either Slovakia or Kazakhstan, will be on the 26th or 27th of August. Don't think Celtic should fear either Slovan Bratislava or Kairat Almaty, although travelling away to Kazakhstan, if they do win through against Bratislava in the third round, will be rather difficult, as obviously Kazakhstan tends to be rather hot and humid, being over in the Eurasian side of Europe, and so that might well pose a difficulty with the climate and the heat, etc. Either way, I don't think Celtic should fear either of those two teams. We beat Slovan Bratislava very comfortably last season. However, I will do a wee bit of further research on both those teams, get updated on their squads and their strengths and weaknesses, and either cover it in a video later this week or possibly in Thursday evening's live stream, which waiting to be confirmed, but should most likely be at 9 p.m. on Thursday. But I will do a invitation, reminder, etc. on Wednesday, so that everybody has at least 24 hours notice of what time it's going to be. As we go, just a wee polite suggestion, encouragement for those not yet subscribed to the channel, please do click that subscriber button and do pop your own thoughts and comments into the comment section regarding the St Mirren match, the potential game against Slovan Bratislava or Kairat Almaty in the final qualifiers in a couple of weeks' time, or any other Celtic issues. So until the next video, goodbye and hail, hail.